Alright, welcome everybody. This is Zenith Online Racing. I am Arbigga. We are back here for Season 4. This is Round 2 in Bahrain. We got the cream of the crop here. Last week, Aerostrike came out on top. Let's see if he can repeat that performance this week. We got a few cars leaving the garage. Got Alpha, Renault, looks like Zamoglis getting out early. Infamous out early as well. So a good start. Some of our quicker drivers out there early. A few guys on the mediums. That's T-Money, Jinnit, and Camden. Camden out there on the medium tire already. Putting in his out lap. Just going to bring that chat up in a moment. So, who is the lead car? I believe it actually is Camden. So we'll stay with Camden here, and we'll get a hot lap from him on the medium tires. We'll keep an eye on the guys behind and see how they are doing in comparison. I know just a few comments already, so just wondering how the audio is for you guys. It's sounding good. So, Camden now just about to complete his out lap, so he will be the first flying lap on board with Camden Luca in the Racing Point of Perez. And behind, I believe it is Infamous, who is out on a lap right now. Thumbs up is audio is good, I guess. I'm assuming that's what you're giving me a thumbs up for. Anyways, Camden into the first corner. Probably could have got a little more aggressive there, but definitely wants to get a solid lap on the board here on the mediums. You don't want to push too hard. It's very easy to make a mistake. A little deep here. Not carrying as much speed through the apex as he would hope. So, not the greatest lap. At least it doesn't look like the greatest lap so far, but we will see when he crosses the line. Not sure what the pole lap should be around here. I haven't really been checking the lap times. Just looking a little wobbly there. It looks like Infamous behind, pushing in, closing nicely. Audio's good then, yeah. Alright. It's Camden here, making his way through the end of Sector 2 here. And obviously purple again. To be expected. I have a feeling Infamous is going much faster behind. And he appears to be closing. And he's on the softs, so see what Camden sets, and then we'll try to get to Infamous quickly as he crosses the line. So 27.7 for Camden, and Infamous gets a 26.1. So, very good lap there from Infamous. Zamoglis with a 26.2. These guys straight to the soft tires, not messing around. They're getting their quality laps on the board. GXW 26.6. He's 4/10 down. Coxie, a little bit of a moment there. Not what you're looking for on the beginning of your hot lap. He is reserving tonight. Looks like we got a Ferrari off. That is Zyg. He is out. Zyg appears to be out here. I've missed him on track. Looks like we got an Alpha maybe coming around. Is that Zamoglis? There's Zyg, yes. He is out, it looks like. He's gone into the barrier off the... That is a tricky spot. You can snap it if you run wide and try to come back on too quickly. So Zyg out of qualifying there. So Doth, the lone Ferrari. Looks like a Mercedes there with no wing behind as well. Is that JFP? No, it's not. That must be Fuzz who's lost his wing. So Doth now completing his first lap, running no line this season. Pretty good performance last week. I believe he finished 4th. May have lost a couple spots due to penalties, but excuse me. Nonetheless, Doth looking pretty sharp so far without the line on JFD, last season's champion, running the 44 car appropriately. 29.5. Also has turned off all of his assists for this season, so JFD with some work to do here. But he was looking pretty good last week, so we will see how he does. Is that Coxie just finishing his lap now? No, Coxie's abandoning that. Heading into the pits. GP Colin just crossed the line, so it's 27.2 on the mediums. It's a pretty good lap, actually. Edges out Camden by about 700ths. Camden going to be looking to improve that time surely on the soft tire. Jeanette, not a very representative time so far, maybe taking an extra lap to warm those mediums up. Let's see what he can do now. This one looks a little bit better. Yeah, much more representative. And 27.8 for Jeanette, so pretty good lap. A little bit behind the other medium tires, but Infamous now out on the mediums. Or at least has them fitted in the garage. Not out yet. Beck, though, jumps to second, edging out Zamoglis. So 26.2 for Beck. And Zamoglis 26.24. See if we can find somebody on a run here. Is this Camden coming around? Looks like he's heading into the pits. Jump to GB Colin, probably also heading in the pits. Doesn't look like he's really pushing. Red Bull? Aerostrike, perhaps? Aerostrike not on a lap either. Axton, maybe. Doesn't seem to be pushing either. Maybe just looking really smooth. Yeah, just being steady. Not being aggressive, but ends up with a pretty good time there, 27.6, so puts himself right in the mix with the other medium runners. Soft tire, obviously, gaining, looks like 6 tenths, roughly, at least, in pace. JFD out on the soft, still running laps on the same tires, it looks like. Maybe just trying to get a feel for things. Not a bad strategy. Ride with JFD for the moment. It's our current champion, Charlie, with a great time there. 25.9 goes to the top of the timing sheets. I mean, exactly 2 tenths actually. But JFD giving himself a bit of a challenge this year. Obviously, defending champion. Doesn't expect to retain that title, but he would like to be mixing it up in the points consistently by the end of the year. And off to a good start last week with a handful of points. Not a great view there. Using all of the track there, turns in. Not the kind of curb you really want to take much of on the inside there. These inside curbs here at Bahrain, very inviting, but some of them can be deadly, especially that one, which he avoided nicely. So JFT looks like he's just pulling over now, let somebody through. Is that Arrow strike on a hot lap? It is. Arrow's gone purple in Sector 2. Let's pick up Arrow's lap here. We'll ride on board with him to the end, see how he can do. And he's pushing for it. Let's go, Arrow. What can you do? 28.1, so not really good enough from Arrow there. Looks like he's done a few laps on the mediums, though, so maybe just trying to get a feel for things himself. Maybe not expecting that to be his final run. Interesting programs out here today. A lot of guys doing different things, trying to get a feel for things. Looks like we have a Renault coming around. Is Coxie about to start a hot lap? Let's see what Coxie can do here. We'll ride on board with him for the moment. He is a reserve, so I don't want to spend too much time following guys that don't count, but there's not a ton of action in the moment. I think we do have Jinnit about to start a flyer. Obviously, won on track last week, but due to penalties, removal of Arrow's penalty, Arrow actually got the win. So, yeah, it looks like Zamagos actually is starting a flyer. Or has he improved his time? He has, yeah. Zamagos improved, so Zamagos actually on a cooldown lap, I believe, at the moment. Let's get back to Jinnit here. Jinnit pushing for it now. Let's ride on board with Jinnit. So, contender for a win. You'd suspect after last week's performance. Let's see what he can do here. So, a few lockups. Nothing that's going to hurt him badly, but probably has a little more time in this lap if you can get the braking a little bit more on point. Yellow flag there ahead. Camden goes fast. That's 25.8. That's a good lap from Camden. Camden last week didn't have a very good performance. Expected to be challenging for wins and podiums, and was kind of just floating around the midfield last week. So probably eager to prove his pace here tonight. Jinnit with a 26.2, so gets in the mix there. You know, 5 minutes ago that would have been good enough for top 3, but with all the improvements out there, Jinnit now sitting 6th currently, so not a bad spot to start from, but we'll be hoping for more on his next lap, I presume. Doth now looks like he's coming around for another run. Not sure if he's on one at the moment. No, looks a little bit off the pace, so heading into the pits perhaps, or just about to start a flyer. Looks like he's just starting it. Let's get on board with Doth here. We'll ride with him for a hot lap. Nailed the braking zone there. Did very well to get on the brakes and get it stopped in time. Really good exit up the hill here, so looking like a pretty solid lap from Doth so far. Let's see what he can do. Needs a big improvement here. Some traffic ahead. He's up at 10th, which is a little less than he'd be hoping for at this point in the lap, I would guess. Vitality getting out of the way nicely there. Big lockup from Doth, and he goes very deep. That's going to cost him a lot of time. And it's probably going to put him a little bit off the pace now. So maybe consider pitting and just waiting for that final run. Check his Sector 2 time before we move on. See how it is. Suspect he'll be down on his previous run though. I know he's up still. So maybe didn't have a very good first run. Obviously a 27.6 not the greatest run, but or 27.7, sorry. See what he can do here. Just gets this corner right, probably can put a decent time up. Oh, and he got away with that. I think he just barely didn't cut. Nice job from Doth there. Probably gained a few tenths. And 27.2 from Doth, so he improves. He puts himself in the top 10 on this top. Not bad, and I believe he'll have time to get back around and get another lap on the board, so we'll check back in with Doth in a little while. Bobby now on a flyer, it looks like. I know he's turned his battery down, so he's just finished a lap. And Bobby's into 8th place for the 26.5. That's a pretty competitive lap time there from Bobby. Good to see. JFD out there on the mediums again. Was he? Oh no, he did softs on the first run, yeah, so maybe trying to get a lap on the board here on the medium tire. Oh, hi Adri. You can go to bed now. I said hi. I'm busy commentating here, you know. It's a one-man job at the moment. Gotta be focused here, try and catch as much as I can. JFT not really pushing here. Let's try to get to somebody else. Charlie on an outlap. I think so. JFD might be just starting a run here. No, JFD is pit, so tried to get in that top 10 on the mediums, but ultimately Doesn't have the pace he needs. Who do we have coming around here? Infamous? No, that is Coxie, I believe. Going into the pits as well. He's going to try and get back out there. It's going to be nip and tuck for Coxie. We'll see if he can do it. Who do we have out? There's Axon on an out lap at the moment. Looks like Arrow has just started a run. Let's ride with Arrow, last week's winner. We'll see what he can do here. He needs a big improvement. No, he's not pushing yet. He's actually got the battery turned down, so he's just getting himself around for a run. JXW, is he on a flyer? I believe he is. Let's ride with JX. Nope, he is not either. Battery's turned down. Was on an outlap. Dylan just started a flyer. Do we have anybody approaching the end of the lap here that might be just finishing a lap? Zamoglis is starting one as well. So, I don't know who our first flying lap is. I guess Axton? No. Maybe Beck. Beck looks like he's on an out lap behind Arrow, so Arrow just starting one. JFD on an out lap. Fuzz on an out lap. I think Axton might be our first hot lap. There's Jinnit getting out of the way ahead. It's on his out lap. Axton with a bit of a bobble there. Really needs to improve here, Axton. He's actually sitting at 14th at the moment. It's not very good from where he expects to be every week. We'll be looking for a big improvement here. Let's see what his split is for Sector 2. He's up quite a bit. That is going to be a big improvement. Might be enough for top 5. Let's see what he can do here in the final turn. Looks like Bobby's out. He's in 8th. Not a bad lap time from him. Even if he gets bumped a few spots, he'll be happy with that, I think. Axton to pole. 25.7 from Axton. What a lap. Wow. Camden 25.8 behind. Zamoglis coming around now, starting his flyer. Who else do we have on a lap? I guess we just missed a few there. Who's GP Colin? We got a pink car up ahead there, Vitality. So let's get with Vitality, GP, and then we'll check in with the other drivers behind. Looks like most people all kind of together on the track there. It's really bad. So can Axton hang on for pole position right now? It's 25.7. Oh, Vitality backs out of it. Interesting. Maybe wanted tire choice. Stay out of the top 10 there. So Axton out. GP goes into 4th. Sorry, not Axton. I meant whoever that was that slowed down there. Fuzz coming around. What can he do? 27.1 from Fuzz. That's 14th. Not too bad. IRO Dylan. 26.1 from IRO Dylan. So he's in 9th. Who's Infamous? Infamous to pole. 25.3 by 4/10. What a lap from Infamous. Wow. I'm sure he'll be thrilled with that. Wants to win here. Anybody else got anything left in the tank? Doesn't look like it. We've got everybody across the line now pretty much. Wow, great qualifying there. Excellent lap there from Axton. And then Infamous just absolutely laying the hammer down. 25.3 for Infamous Pillars. He is your pole sitter for the Bahrain Grand Prix here at Zenith Online Racing. It's Tier 1, this is Season 4. Infamous Pillars on pole. waiting for these cars to retire now. Bit of a bug. Guys in the pits got to retire, and we'll get the session ended a little quicker. So Charlie and Camden. So GXW in 4th, that's a pretty good lap too, a little under the radar there. Edges out GP Colin by 2 thousandths. Zamoglis down 18 thousandths off GP. Very tight there. I mean, second through what, 7th or 8th there, all within 2/10 of each other. That's what we were looking for. We went to the pace-based here, and it's delivering so far. Look at those times. Look at the splits there, all the way down to 10th. I mean, 8/10 separating the top 10, and most of those guys within 3/10. Looking like anyone's race here again. I have to say, advantage to Infamous at this point, starting out front. He's got a 4/10 pace advantage there with that lap time. So if he can get out in front without any trouble, could scamper off into the distance. But we will see. Strategy, obviously, going to play a very big role here. One thing I didn't notice, Dylan actually put up his lap time in 9th on the medium. So watch out for him to make up some ground at the end, running that reverse strategy. But yeah, good stuff. Good qualifying. Should be a quick little break for 2 minutes here, and then we will get the race going. Dylan readied. I can see it. He was the first one. I'm assuming that they weren't supposed to. Usually one of the admin guys, race director, gives the go. Just notice the chat. Everyone's telling Adri to leave me alone so I can do my job. Alright, let's check the tires. So pretty much everyone outside the top 10 opting for the harder compounds. Bobby on the hards in 11th, actually. That's a pretty good place to start from for Bobby. If he can hang on to that spot, even sit around 12th or 13th and then kind of close and make up ground at the end, that's a good place for him. Easily could one-stop it if he can make the hards work. T-Money disqualified. I'm assuming for being parked on the grid because someone started it early. That's probably what that's about. That sucks for T-Money. He's not going to get to warm his tires up, which really blows. Fuzz also opting for the hards in 17th. It sounds like one of the cars around here is having the gear issue. Vitality, perhaps? Nope. That's Zag. Drives me nuts, this bug. Like, I can't watch him on the track because this audio is just so horrible. Anyways, back through the field. It's kind of annoying that they don't have the custom numbers on the cars for this yet. For me, it's kind of one of the nicer parts about driving the real cars. You get to put your own number on there and Give it a little bit of your own personality, but you can also rep your favorite driver in their car too if you choose it. Alright. So Infamous keeping the field tight here, doesn't want to sit on the grid for too long. I think the AI takes over now. So, predicted pit stop, soft, medium, soft, hard. Is that what that was saying? I wonder how many guys are going to try the one stop. So there's T-Money. Poor fella. Stuck on the grid. So, yeah, Infamous. On pole. Backed the field up quite nicely. You know, almost everybody has parked in a relatively quick manner after he's stopped, so not sitting on the grid too long here. Infamous Pillars on pole for round 2 of Season 4. Let's get those lights on. Let's get this race started. There we go. We've got 4 lights on. 5 lights are on. And they're off. Lights out. Infamous with a lot of wheel spin on the start. What's going on there? Is he going to get caught? He is. I think Camden's going to get a chance on him here into turn 1. Camden sends it down the inside. Oh, they're side by side. I think... Yes, he's defended. Infamous has defended. Camden nearly got him, though. JXW all over the back of Camden. JXW now closing in, attacking for second. Down the inside, and JX takes the place. No, he doesn't. He loses it. A little bit of lag there, obviously, so can't really tell where JX really is at the moment. Axton wheel to wheel now with JXW, looking for a way through. JXW has to defend, and he cannot get it done there. Here comes Axton up the inside. Very tricky corner here. Good driving from those two. Axton keeps the place. JXW drops to 4th, so JXW's lost a few spots here on the start. Now GB Collin in the hunt too, smelling blood. JXW really under threat here. GB Collin is all over him. So maybe just not getting those tires up to temperature on that formation lap. Seems to be struggling a little bit here, though he did get a good launch. And Infamous already with a 1 second lead, and Camden separating himself from Axton as well. So the front 3 starting to get away a little bit. Infamous Pillars obviously fastest lap. JXW following Axton here, not picking up any slipstream. Oh, someone's gone. What happened there? Someone's gone. Infamous, what happened? Infamous is gone. Did Infamous lose the car? Or is it bugged? Someone can let me know. I don't know what happened there. JFD is pit. It says everybody's pitting. This graphic is absolutely broken. JFD in first pitting. That makes no sense. So Infamous is out front. Okay, everything's fine. I think there's some kind of bug going on here. Gotta get this stuff off the screen for the moment. So we got Infamous, Camden. It'll sort itself, I think, in a minute. But Infamous and Camden, followed by Axton and JX. So a little bit of a bug going on here. Obviously, JFD is not out front on hards. There we go. It is updated. So, Cody's, get your shit together. It's embarrassing. We're trying to do a professional broadcast here. GP Collin under pressure from Dylan now, who started on that medium tire. So Dylan looking sharp here in the early stages of the race. Just try to focus more on the racing and less on the timing chart, because it does not look accurate, or at least didn't. Looks a little bit more accurate now. Up front, JXW. Still applying the pressure to Axton, so maybe got those tires warmed up a little bit. And behind, Dylan is making a move. Dylan is through. Great move from Dylan there. So he's got himself into 5th place here on the medium tire, but GP attacking back. Here comes GP Collin. And he cannot get back in. So IRO Dylan covers it off. Oh, GP with a big moment there. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. It almost looked like he was moving over. Maybe he got an illegal overtake or something. There was a yellow flag briefly there. Nonetheless, Charlie up in 7th now. So, oh, Sector 2, we have a yellow flag. Someone is off behind. Is it Janet? It might be Janet. Yes, Janet has lost the car. So, Janet's misfortune is continuing. JFD way behind there on the hard tire now. So the timing sheet is updated, and yeah, JFD must have had a moment there to be pitting that early. So JXW applying the pressure to Axon here, but behind we have Zmoglis and Charlie closing in on Dylan. So Dylan on those medium tires will be compromised for pace a little bit compared to some of these guys out front on the softs. But Charlie and Zmoglis showing good pace here early on the soft tire and applying the pressure there to Dylan. So Dylan might not be able to do much here in this first stint. Zmoglis taking a peek there, but cannot take a look at it. Here comes Doth. He got through on Bobby. So Doth into 9th now. Bobby doing well on those hard tires, hanging on. He's in the points at the moment, so that's good for Bobby. Can make that strategy work for him. Could play out nicely. Zmoglis now applying that pressure to Dylan, and Charlie not letting Zmoglis get away. And then we have behind the Doth there, quite a scrap too. Arrow, Bobby, Beck, Coxie, T-Money, Fuzz, all within 10th of one another. So a lot of good scraps going on through the field here. With the DRS activated now, we should see a couple of these places start to swap. Can Charlie and Zmoglis do anything here behind Dylan? Dylan managing very well on these medium tires, running in 5th currently. If he can keep these guys behind him, he's going to be looking really sharp. Point to Doth there, though, as well on the medium tire in 9th, and Arrow on the mediums in 10th. So running a smart strategy there. Options are wide open for both those drivers. Zmoglis thinking about it, but cannot get a move done, and Dylan now starting to apply the pressure to JXW ahead, too. So a little bit of a train forming here for 4th. Axton finally breaking that slip DRS advantage there to JX, and hoping he can get away from them while JX is occupied with a mirror full of Alpha. Well, Alfa Romeo, I suppose. And a Haas. Check in the battles behind in a moment. Doesn't look like Dylan's close enough here, so we'll get back to these battles. Here comes Coxie with DRS now on Beck. Can he make a move? No. Beck also with the DRS, able to defend that. There's lots of good scraps going on through the field here. I wish I could keep an eye on all of them, but it's hard to do. Vitality applying the pressure here. We'll get back to the front there. Looks like Dylan is really closing on JX. He's going to make a move down the straight here, I think, and a big lockup for Dylan. That's not going to help him. Still gets a really good exit, though, and here comes Zmoglis as well. We could have 3 cars heading into turn 1 here. Dylan looking for that move. Pulls down the inside. Oh, very close there. Dylan, oh, late on the brakes, and JX making that sweep back across. Trying to defend it. I think JX does not get DRS here, does he? No, he does. JX looking to fight it back, but he cannot do anything. So Dylan takes 4th now, and Zmoglis is going to have to take a crack at JXW now if he wants to keep up with Dylan ahead there. So Dylan looking poised for a podium finish here, running a very smart strategy. He can go medium to soft even if he can manage it, but medium to hard is very doable, and sitting in a good spot in 4th here. Well ahead of the other medium runners as well, so that's a very positive sign for Dylan. Oh, we've got somebody out. Vitality has retired. He has lost the car somewhere, and there he is. He has lost the car. Saw him off in the barrier there. I don't think we're going to get a chance to see him again with how far back Beck and JFD are. Maybe. Maybe this helicopter cam will show it. Bit of an odd place to lose the car, really. He lost it right there, it seems. That's where he was on the map. So VSC here. See if anybody can get caught napping on the restart. Should be cleared momentarily as the car is off the map. It looks like JXW pitting. So a couple guys have dove into the pits, actually. We have Infamous pitting from first onto the hards. He's actually getting trapped in his bit box, I believe, by other cars pitting. So Infamous has pit. All the positions jumping around, it's hard to tell. Camden has pit. JXW, Charlie, Zyg. So a lot of guys have dove in the pits here, and Dylan now scrapping for the lead with Axton down the inside. Very tight there. Axton fighting it tooth and nail. He does not want to give up this spot. Oh, and there's contact. Dylan goes round. Not a great place to go side by side. Someone was always going to lose out there, and it looks like Dylan on the short end of the stick today. Hard to say if there's anyone at fault there. They're literally wheel to wheel, side by side. I don't see there was really an advantage to either driver at that point. Very unfortunate for Dylan, though. He's running an excellent race, and he's just lost a lot of the ground he's made up. Now under threat from Arrow. So he'll be disappointed by that. Surely that will be going to the stewards. GP Colin inherits the third place now. So Axton out front for the time being. Zamoglis trying to close, and GP Colin applying the pressure for second right now. Checking behind, Arrow Strike applying that pressure to Dylan still. Dylan with that big lockup now. Obviously those tires not going to be in great condition after a half spin. A little bit of contact causing that. No fault of his own. He was driving an excellent race to that point. See if he can make a recovery out of this. I know some drivers it could be disheartening, but for other drivers it can light a fire under them and just find this outrageous pace and really do something special with it. So we'll see if that is in the cards. Some nice gaps forming at the front there. Everybody's starting to tighten up a bit. Nothing on here. Bobby applying that pressure to Arrow Strike, though. Those hard tires starting to work a little bit better than the mediums, perhaps. Bobby running nicely here in 7th. He's doing well, I think, on those hards. I have to give him credit for that. Coxey applying the pressure at the moment, looking for a way through, but credit to Bobby running a solid race so far. He wasn't expecting much from his campaign, but I'd say in the first 2 races, he's definitely proven that he's capable of running there near the points and racing with the big boys here. So he was a little concerned about his own pace because he was placed here by availability rather than pace, but he's been hanging in there. I'm happy to see. It's happy. It makes me happy to see that he's doing so well so far. That's really what we want. We just want competitive racing top to bottom, so even if the guy doesn't think he's that quick, but he can get in there and mix it up, it's worth it. Zamoglis trying to close here. He's got that gap whittled down a little bit, but still has some work to do. GP Colin trying to close as well. Iro Dillon now picking the pace back up, starting to close on Doth. So quietly, Doth has moved into 4th place, running another solid race without that line. Nice to see him getting into a good rhythm and making good use of the race session. Obviously getting the practice in, running the laps repeatedly, you start to get a little more comfortable. And obviously Dylan pressuring Doth now, that won't be helping Doth, but Doth at the same time needs to run a race of attrition here, not be losing time scrapping with guys that are faster than him. So I don't think he'll fight it too hard, but he's not gonna open the door either. A little bit of action down in 15th there. Beck and Zyg swapping places. We're riding with T-Money right now, who is applying the pressure to Coxey and Fuzz in tow behind. It doesn't seem like these drivers with the multiple DRS, 2 or 3 cars in the train, it just seems very difficult for them to make any moves. good driving for the most part today. I haven't seen anything too dicey. I would say that the incident between Dylan and Axton more than likely will be chalked up to a racing incident. I can't see it being much more than that, but you'd have to see more angles from both views and see if someone turned in on the other or what. Really hard to tell. But Dylan now with that DRS closing on Doth. Will he send it? It looks like a bunch of guys have dove in the pits here, so they've inherited 1 and 2. Dylan for the temporary race lead down the inside. Doth defending that nicely, and he yields the place, so Dylan takes the spot. Doth does well to defend that, but ultimately backs out of it, knows he's got a bit of a cushion behind. It's probably worth preserving rather than scrapping. So guys behind, let's take a look at who has stopped so far. Infamous has stopped Camden, Charlie, JXW, Axton's Mogless, GP. So look where they've come out by not stopping under VSC. They have lost quite a bit of time to the guys that did the VSC pit stop, but those guys are on the hard tire, and it will be quite an ask for some of those guys to get to the end. Actually, some of them have pit under the medium, so maybe going for the 2-stop. Behind here, this scrap's getting a little bit spicier. Coxie, T-Money, Infamous, and Fuzz now. So Infamous stuck behind these guys, trying to make his way through here. That DRS train is a big pain in the butt. Very difficult for some drivers to get through. Infamous really closing. I look at T-Money weaving, trying to find a way through there. And Coxie's just backed out of that. Looks like Coxie just wanted to get out of the way there. Doesn't want to fight with guys that are fighting for their actual points in Tier 1. But Fuzz, I think, reserving as well. So Fuzz and Coxie free to scrap. I'm not going to interrupt anything too much. They're side by side again, T-Money and Infamous. And T-Money eventually... Whoa, almost made contact there. T-Money having to yield... Oh, there's a bit of wing damage there. Oh, T-Money! T-Money and Fuzz, they make contact. Who picked up the damage? Hard to tell. I think it might have been Fuzz, though. Yeah, it looks like Fuzz lost his end plate. He has lost his right end plate, Fuzz. You can see the Mercedes there missing the front right end plate. So Fuzz now going to be losing some ground with that damage he's picked up. T-Money fighting that position, does not want to lose out to reserve driver. I don't know how long he's planning to run on these mediums, but obviously wants to get himself into a little bit of a bubble there if he's trying to extend. Axton behind Bobby now. He's closing. He's going to yield just to make sure he gets that DRS down the straight. Smart move from Axton there. He wants to make sure he can get this move done. No fighting unnecessarily. Dylan has pit, so he's onto the hards. Axton cleared him by quite some time. So Dylan really lost out on the undercut there. Axton makes up a lot of ground. Dylan now out in 14th, locking up big, and Beck applying the pressure now on the soft. So this could go poorly for Dylan. In terms of the long haul, the big picture for the whole race, obviously going to the end, so we'll see how that pans out. But Beck on the soft tires behind could be trouble for Dylan. If he gets ahead, it can start to slow him up a bit. So a few drivers behind. GP, Zamoglis now wanting to probably clear the cars in front of them, start making up some ground, because Dylan out on the hards now will start to apply the pressure behind. Camden, Coxie, Fuzz, all very close still to T-Money, who's lost a bit of ground to Arrow ahead. Really wants to be breaking away from the pack behind him, but on the older medium seems to be struggling a little bit for pace. T-Money into the pits. So, pit stop window is open for the hards. One-stop race for T-Money. See where he filters back out. Looks like he's going to have a bit of a pocket there. Somewhere near Zag, and they are replacing T-Money's wing as well. So maybe that prompted the pit stop. I don't know how long he was planning to go. Late dive from GP there. Down the inside on Bobby, but he had to back out of it, obviously. Just couldn't really quite get that done. But that has put Dylan right on the gearbox of GP. So let's see what Dylan can do here. Down the inside. And he gets the move done. So Dylan making up ground here. Next on the list, Bobby. And GP behind. Now under pressure from Beck as well. And Zamoglis just up the road, starting to separate this from this group a little bit, which is what he needs. He wants to close to Axton. I don't know who is in the net lead of this race at the moment. I guess it is Infamous. We have a yellow flag in Sector 2. Is that Doth? No, it is Zyg, I believe. Doth running in first currently, but has not pit. Infamous will inherit the... net lead. Doth has pit. Arrow also into the pits, so those guys going for that medium hard one stop. And let's see where they come out. Doth, Arrow. I think there goes, yeah, Beck, Bobby ahead. Oh, Beck and Bobby side by side here. Bobby down the inside, just has to use that curbing and doesn't get a very good exit. He's just not getting the rotation on such an acute angle. But Doth and Arrow pop out behind Bobby and Beck, so a bit of work to do, but much fresher tires. Beck on a bit of a different strategy there, so not a huge concern for those guys, but you don't want to be wasting time stuck behind him. Dylan starting to close on Zamoglis now, so Dylan really turns the wick up and gets on with it. Showing good pace here today. Obviously lost a lot of ground there on that spin, but ultimately he's almost caught back up to Axton, the guy that he made contact with, so could probably redeem himself at least back to where he was, and then, you know, it's hard to say where he would have been if he not made contact with Axton. There comes Camden and Coxey right up the back of Fuzz, and Charlie hanging in there as well. Fuzz on the hards has not pit yet. I think he does have that wing damage still as well. Obviously has to keep going if he wants to keep that hard strategy working. And here comes Camden, closing on Coxey. Camden pushing towards the front of the field now. Has to back out of that. Oh, there goes Charlie. Huge mistake there. Nearly into the back of Camden. Had to get on the grass. It actually did well to not lose too much time. He's still in the hunt here. So good recovery there from Charlie. Big mistake. And he sends it down the inside, Charlie. Very late, and he's on the curb. This is the kind of thing he doesn't want to be doing. He's trying to get by, and he could end up costing himself dearly here when he doesn't really need to push. He's got a bit of a cushion behind a GXW. Again, though, he's on the medium tire, so I wonder if he is running a two-stop race and doesn't want to be stuck behind these hard guys, so maybe does feel a little bit of urgency. He knows he's got that extra grip on the medium tires, so maybe making him a little more confident. Here comes Camden once more, down the inside on Coxey. They're side by side. Coxey does well to defend that. Excellent side-by-side driving. And Camden has to wait another corner now. Not what he's hoping for. And there goes Camden. I think he's going to get him this time. Seems to have far more traction. Just needs to get in on the brakes a little later. Yeah, he's pushed himself through there, made sure he got it done. So Camden now free. Fuzz actually gained a little bit there from the scrap behind, so Fuzz pits. Probably okay to go to the mediums now. But Camden now 9 seconds behind Infamous, and I think he was not that far off before he got stuck there behind Coxey, so that's cost Camden quite a bit of time. Coxey is pit, Fuzz is pit. Where are they going to come out? Behind Arrow, it looks like. Yes. Arrow ahead. T-Money might be side by side with these guys coming into turn 1. He is. T-Money does well to keep that place, and Coxie has to yield. I think he's lost out to JFD there as well. So JFD now ahead of Coxie. Get back to the front here. Charlie applying the pressure to Camden now. So obviously on the mediums now, without Camden not having that DRS advantage, Charlie actually has a good crack at getting by here. He kind of needs to. Not really wasting much time here, stuck behind. Yeah, Puff was busy, Eric. Okay, he took on a very large job at home and expected to be done. Didn't finish in time, so had to pull out a broadcast, but that's alright. I don't mind doing it alone. There's GP with that DRS. Is he closing on Beck? Can he send it? Is he close enough to send it? He's thinking about it. Oh, Beck onto the grass. That's not going to help him. I thought GP might think about it and go for it there. But he does have another zone to attack here. Oh, big bobble from Beck. That has cost GP dearly. GP had to yield there to make sure he didn't get hit. And I think Beck's going to keep the place now. Yeah, he does. So, though he had a wobble, he lost time. It actually may have helped him. So ahead here, we've got Dylan now applying the pressure to Axon and JX. So JXW, I guess, running a two-stopper. He's on the mediums now. Charlie in second on the mediums. Has made it by Camden. So just what he needed. I believe Jinnit. Is Jinnit actually out, or is that a desync? I have no idea where he actually is, Jinnit. Maybe someone can check his stream for me and let me know if it's right or wrong. Or maybe he's, I don't know. Either way, not sure what's going on there. We got good racing at the front though, so we won't worry about that. JXW looking for something here. Is that the Jinnit car? It is. There's no ghosting, so these lapped cars are really bad. Oh, not what he needs. Dylan gets through though, so very imperative that he got by that lap car. And here comes Axton now, also trying to get through. Oh, excuse me. Dylan all over the back of JXW here. He is on a mission. He wants that podium. Nice shot there. Car's coming through. Dylan all over the back of JXW here, but JXW just really good on the exits there. It seems to get good traction and managing to defend down the straights. But in the corners, Iro Dylan really closing. So maybe an indication that JX's tires starting to fall off a little bit. Those medium tires not really going to last much longer than 10 laps, if that is accurate. JXW heading into the pits, probably a good idea. Dylan is released. He's up into fourth now. Charlie also in the pits. Going to the softs, I presume, to the end. I don't know, another set of mediums, it looks like. Soft, medium, medium, I guess. JXW did the same. So these guys are going to be competitive, but it looks like out of the points at the moment. Charlie and JX in 9th and 10th, and who is that coming down the straight? Is it T-Money? It is. T-Money now getting in the mix. Can T-Money get ahead of JXW? This is important. He does. Very good for T-Money. See if he can defend on those fresh mediums now. T-Money on the hards has to fight the fresh medium runners off behind. Sorry, what am I saying? Charlie and Fuzz came out behind Arrow. Not T-Money, that was Arrow that got ahead of them. Oh no, JX, sorry. Yeah, JX came out behind T-Money. But Charlie came out ahead of Fuzz. Look at the difference there. That's huge. I mean, look at the gap already. Like, JX has lost seconds of time to Charlie here. Charlie in 9th on a fresh set of mediums could do some damage here. I think the next 3 or 4 places are in reach. And keep an eye on him and see if his lap times start to improve. But Dylan now making his push for 2nd place. I think a hell of a race here. Fastest lap for Dylan. Closing on Camden. I don't think Camden can do a damn thing about that. Dylan on an absolute rampage here. He's got 11 seconds to the lead of Infamous. Infamous on much older hards, it would appear. Do we think that Dylan can catch Infamous? I think it's entirely possible, but we'll have to see how that pans out. And while we wait to see what happens there, we'll check in with Charlie, who is starting to close on Arrow now. He's starting to make progress. And JXW ahead of T-Money. So JXW now pushing towards the points. Charlie really closing here. He's on an absolute rampage. Let's get on board with Charlie. We'll ride with him for a little bit. We don't have too much action anywhere else in the field, so Charlie, a good driver to ride with for the time being. Let's see what he can drum up. Gets that DRS open. Fire up that overtake button. Not much. Saving it for the long straight, I think. With Dylan, not really taking the time out of Infamous that he needs to be. I think Infamous is going to be able to cover that off. Charlie on an absolute tear here. Much more pace. Is going to hurt him on the exit. I think Charlie's going to get him here. He's already almost closing up. Arrow with no DRS. Can't do a thing. Charlie goes by. So looking like a good drive from Charlie here if he can make up these places. He's got Doth only 8/10 off ahead. Should be a quick one for Charlie. And then he's got 4 seconds ahead of that to GP Collin. And then another 7 to Zimoglis. So I think GP Collins within reach. I'm not sure about Zimoglis in 5th, but we'll see how that pans out. Who is our highest running reserve right now? Fuzz is in 10th with the reserve role, so JXW, I think, will get the last point if he can't get by Fuzz. Fuzz actually is closing on Arrow as well. So here comes Charlie on Doth. He's going to go down the inside. Is he going to get it done here? He is. Late on the brakes and very confident there. He's got that grip now. The tires are nice and warm. Charlie flies by Doth into 7th and GP ahead, his next target. We do have a bit of time before he catches him. I believe Fuzz and Arrow are battling. Arrow has lost ground here. Has he picked up damage? No. Just running the long strategy here, and I think Fuzz maybe on a 2-stop. So no, Fuzz on a 1-stop. Just exceptional pace at the moment, looking really sharp. So 2-stopper has worked for Charlie, not so much for JXW, not really for Beck either. So. Not working out for some drivers here. I think JFW or JFD was kind of forced into a 2-stop. Not really sure he intended to do that. Maybe just picked up damage. But yeah, Fuzz looking sharp at the moment. Who is the big gainer here? Iro Dillon up 7 places. That's a really good drive from him. Doth up 5. Fuzz up 8 places. That's really excellent from Fuzz as well. He's putting on a performance here, and he's just breezed right past Doth that hoist. black Mercedes looking sharp in the cockpit and out. Axton now working on the gap to Camden, so Axton really wanting to get on that podium. He wants to get interviewed today. Really wants to get himself back in the booth. His fans need him. I think, at least I think he would say that. His fans miss him. See if he can do it. Just a few laps to go. Doth trying to hang on to Fuzz here, so starting to lose a little bit of the action here. There's not too much going on. We got Coxie closing on T-Money. We also have Charlie taking tenths. Every sector is taking tenths out of GP Collins, so Charlie really pushing here. I think 6th place, I think that's pretty much a guarantee he can pick up 6th here, but can he get to 5th? That's a bit of a tall order. It really depends on how Zimoglis manages those hards, if he can keep them alive until the end of the race. Zig and Bobby swapping places back there. We're on board with Charlie, making his way through the field. Coxie is taking a sniff at T-Money here. He's going to have DRS down the main street. Actually, looks like he's got a really good chance of getting this one done. So we'll stick with Coxie for the moment. And we'll check back in on Charlie in a second. So JXW, absolutely flying. He's coming out of Arrow fast. I think he's going to get this done. Arrow just parks it straight in the middle of the track, makes JX pick. Actually covered it off nicely, but I think JX is going to get him on the traction around the outside. He does, and clean through there for JXW. Can Coxie get it done? No, Coxie stuck behind T-Money still. But you see the pace advantage there for JXW. Arrow strikes. His hard tires must be just really falling off at this point. Just had absolutely no answer for JX. So now Charlie is almost within DRS of GP. Is he going to get it here? He is. I think he just crossed the line in time. Yes, he does get DRS. So the hunt is on for Charlie. 6th place. Within reach. Axton now within a second. Almost within a second of Camden for that podium place. Let's see what he can do. GP trying desperately to break that slipstream to no avail. Charlie is closing. GP trying to harvest a little bit here, and it looks like, yeah, this Charlie's got him dead to rights here. Nothing GP can do. He's just going to lose time to Fuzz behind fighting him too. It's not worth it. But what I was going to point out, the reason Fuzz is so quick is he did run the reverse strategy. He ran the hard to medium, so his tires are much fresher than most of the other guys out there. Not as much as the 2-stop runners, but he's still got a pretty fresh set of mediums on the car at the moment. Axton now within DRS range of Camden. So now that we've seen a few of the battles in the back pan out, we will check in for the final podium place. Axton versus Camden here. And let's see what Axton can do. Can he get himself in the booth for an interview? Doing well to close that gap. Camden seems to be really struggling here. Axton is all over the back of him. Let's see what he can do down the straight here. Does he have enough juice in the tank to get by? Camden looking to defend. Axton very close here, though. With that DRS, he's going to have him. I think Axton up into 3rd now. Looking at the final podium place, Axton takes it. 3rd position for Axton at the moment. Can Camden hang on? Let's see if he can fight it back. He gets DRS here. What can he do? I think Axton's got him. Oh, very late on the brakes. Thought about a late move, but ultimately cost himself too much time, and he's out of the DRS range of Axton now. Just about. See if he hangs on to it. No, Camden, I think, has lost the DRS, so Axton looking poised for a third-place finish at the moment. Let's check in with Charlie here. He's well ahead of GP now, but he's taking chunks out of Zimaglis, but is it going to be enough? Do we know if Zimaglis has any penalties? We're not sure. Fuzz now closing on GP Collins, so Fuzz making up a lot of ground here on that reverse strat. The mediums being quite friendly to our good chap Fuzz tonight. Camden, yeah, just doesn't seem to have enough to get back to Axton. Axton, I think, is going to hold this place here. So, nice drive from Axton there, getting back onto the podium after losing some ground at the start. Driver of the day at this point, I think, got to be Dylan. I think going from 9th to 2nd. Ran that one-stop strategy perfectly. Had the pace all through the race. Got spun even. I think he's competing for a win here if he doesn't get spun there. Not that he got spun, but there was contact with Axton, and he definitely lost at least 8 to 10 seconds there. So, in my opinion, I think Dylan actually had the pace to win this Grand Prix tonight, but obviously misfortune strikes and couldn't pull it off. So, nonetheless, my driver of the day. Checking with Fuzz behind. He's running an excellent race as well. Up into 8th. Catching GP quickly. There goes Beck with the fastest lap. He is in 15th though, so that is not going to result in a point for anybody if he hangs on to that. Going into the pits, looks like maybe going for fastest lap as well. Fuzz trying to close there, and JXW looking to close in on 9th here to take that from Doth. Actually, wait, does Fuzz score points? Maybe he does score points, Fuzz, because he gave up his seat, but I think he's like a reserve. Well, maybe not. We'll figure it out. JXW closing on Doth here. Can he get a move done in the straight? A little hesitant on the throttle there, and I think that's going to cost him an opportunity at this point. Doth probably can defend this. Yeah, he's well ahead. And JX take a crack down the next straight, though. It's not as long. Big lockup from Doth. JX has got to pounce. Oh, he gets a very good exit. Doth under pressure here. Can JX send it? He's thinking about it. Oh, he backs out of it. Oh, and Doth goes a little deep. JX closing. Not close enough. We're on the second last lap of the race. And JXW, is he going to think about... Oh, he's going around the outside here. And Doth just, you know what, I think Doth's just happy to take a point home. Doesn't want to think about risking it through here. So Doth will settle for 10th, it looks like. Arrow nowhere. 7 seconds off of a point at the moment. JFD is out. JFD has lost the car, I believe. Yes, he has. He is out of the race. I think our closest driver is actually Infamous. To be honest, it is. So Infamous now on the final lap, leading the Grand Prix from start to finish. Excellent drive from him. Iro Dillon, I think, had the pace to win this Grand Prix. Obviously, had that contact with Axton, took it away from him a little bit. Be interesting to have those two in the booth together. Hopefully, all civil. I think they both understand they were just racing. But check in with these other gaps behind. GP Colin, Team Money now taking a crack at Arrow. Is he going to get by? He does. Great move from Team Money there to get by Arrow Strike. Doth now looking at the back of JXW. But the ultimate prize belongs to one driver. Ran a excellent qualifying, was 4/10 up on the second place driver. Clearly had exceptional pace here today compared to the rest of the field. He's been in the front since the start of the Grand Prix. He's still in the front now as we round to the final turn. Infamous Pillars leads the way towards the checkered flag. Infamous Pillars, round 2 winner, Bahrain Grand Prix, Zenith Online Racing. There it is. Iro Dillon brings it home in second. An excellent drive from him. Axton coming home in third place here. Gets on the podium. Gets that interview that he covets so dearly. Great drive from Axton to bring it home in third. He'll be ecstatic about that. Camden now closing fourth place for Camden. That's a good drive from him. Charlie in fifth. That's an excellent drive. He did get ahead of Zamoglis. Did Zamoglis lose the car somewhere? Charlie has taken fifth place. Zamoglis sixth. Fuzz in seventh. Zamoglis ran out of fuel, I think. His Fuzz nearly got him. Something's going wrong there for Zamoglis. Maybe a puncture? But nonetheless, GP 8th, JXW 9th, Doth is 10th, T-Money 11th, Arrow 12th, Coxie is 13th, Beck 14th, Zag 15th, Bobby 16th, JFD is 17th, Jinnit, I have no idea where Jinnit actually is. I think it's disconnected, I believe. Not sure if it was the AI disconnected or if my cat closed my stream. Why don't you close my stream, bud? Yes, Axton, get in there. Let's get him in. What is this? Get down. His internet dropped. Okay. Jinnit's internet dropped, so that wasn't actually Jinnit. Well, that's good. I mean, it's not good for Jinnit, but it's good for me because I was worried that I had a desync again. Another stupid desync issue. When you're trying to commentate, it's not very good. But there's your winner, Infamous. And then IRO Dillon and Axton on the podium as well. We'll get those guys in for an interview briefly. Do I not have either of these guys? I don't think I have Infamous either. In 1 second, just get the other guys in. I gotta invite Dylan as well. There we go. Interviews are out. Let's take a look at the spreads here. No penalties, eh? That's pretty impressive. I mean, a couple penalties, I guess, down the back, but most of the field with no penalties, it looked like. I guess that's why it's tier 1. I know we're all waiting for Axton, but Infamous is here, and he won the Grand Prix. How you feeling, Infamous? That was a hell of a drive from qualifying to the end of the race there. Excellent performance. You clearly had pace, hand over fist over most of the field there. I think Dylan could have threatened you if he hadn't come into contact with Axton, but definitely a really impressive performance from you. How you feeling? Yeah. Yeah. Well, just gonna check to make sure everybody can hear you. But yeah, I know. I think it's a really tough race on strategy. Well, hopefully people will let me know in the chat if they can hear you guys. As long as your audio is selected to be shared during other people's streams, it should be fine. I know Axton it can be heard, but so from
that should be alright now.
Yeah. Okay. So it was off before.
Yeah.
Hang on. No, we can't hear. Okay, they couldn't hear you. But you said you were tired and sweaty and you felt like the tires were dead. So obviously Despite it looked comfortable out front, but I'm sure you were constantly checking the splits behind and thinking about how the strategy was going to pan out if someone was going to sneak up on you maybe on a two-stopper and catch you off guard.
The one thing I wasn't checking was the percentage of my tyres were on, but everything else was getting checked regularly. I knew Dylan would be the one to watch out for after qualifying. I tried setting a banker on softs,
Yeah.
but ended up going about half a second too quick for what I wanted to. But yeah, no, I had to kind of, as soon as the VSE came out, it was just a matter of chucking on the hards and seeing what I can get out of it, and hopefully, well, with what it did, just come out with the win. So.
Yeah, exactly. It obviously played out in your hands. But I guess what you were aiming for was you were trying to go for a medium in qualifying to run a bit more of a comfortable one stop.
Yeah, it's going to be a medium hard. Medium's to about lap 14, and then hards for the rest. But
and your banker lap was too quick, so you didn't think you'd beat it, and just stuck with the softs.
Yeah, I shot myself in the foot.
Yeah, well, that's it's not a bad problem to have, to be honest, because it worked out in the end. But we'll move on to second place. Hell of a drive up from 9th. That was IRO Dylan. How you feeling? That was a pretty good drive. Obviously, the contact with Axton there, you guys were racing pretty hard side by side. I don't know, didn't look like there was much in it to me. Just kind of unfortunate, and one person got the short end. And I feel like you could have challenged for the win possibly without that. But nonetheless, second place, pretty solid result.
Yeah, it was a very unfortunate incident. I think it was a racing incident. I think I turned in maybe a little bit too late and spun the car around, and that obviously cost me a lot of time. Tried to undercut on the hards, and pace on the hards was insane. So I really pushed on those tires, and unfortunately just about lost out on the win.
Mm-hmm. I would say that, I was just gonna say without that spin, I think you and Infamous are actually like fighting on track for the win there. It's hard to say who, with track position, who would have been able to keep it, but it seemed like the DRS is pretty strong here. Most people without a DRS train going, they were getting picked off pretty quick, so it's hard to say. But yeah, I think you definitely had the pace there for a potential win today, which is good to see. I'm glad to see that there's so many guys out there with race-winning pace. What we did see this week, I noticed, was a few guys that were very competitive last week, not so strong this week. So I think we're going to see a lot of that probably throughout the season, going track to track. So good to see. And last but not least, we'll move on to our third place finisher, a fan favorite, back in the booth, Mr. Axton. How you feeling?
Hey, what's up, gentlemen? Fuck yeah!
There we go.
What's going on?
He's our North America content. We needed at least one in the booth.
Oh yeah,
so.
you need somebody who's a little arrogant in here.
Yeah.
Tell you what.
Yeah.
What's going on, IRO Dylan? Man, sorry, it was a tough spot, man. I knew you were faster, but I was not going to give up that spot early on.
It's no worries, man. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Outside of that, so what a sweaty race that was. I need to go take a shower.
Yeah.
It's chasing down JX and then having to chase down Camden. It was close. There was a time I lost it right in front of Dylan as well, and I was like, man, I better let him go by, and I don't want to cause another incident. And then he really think I'm out to get him, and but it all came through in the end, and here we are bringing the Red Bulls for a podium.
Yeah, nice. It was a good drive. Again, even from a first glance during the actual race, it looked like that was a racing incident to me. I don't think there's much in it really. It's always worth it to steward things, I guess, when it's that close. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's. There's anything.
Yeah, we know. I mean, we all get it. It's how it goes. If you get stewards involved, it's not a big deal. So if Dylan feels the need, right? Hey, man, I wouldn't blame you if you did. It's just one of those things that you have a third opinion or second opinion, because 1, 2 for us, and then a different set of eyes to look on it is always helpful. So
it was a nice.
It's just part of racing.
It was a nice. I I don't think I'm gonna report it because I felt like it was probably more my fault because I could have been more patient with the overtake.
Yeah. But nonetheless, no, I'm glad to see that, you know, obviously with a contact like that, there was no bullshit. It was just, you know, you get in the booth, and I think both of you guys know, like, you're good racers, nice and fast. Like, you know what happens sometimes. Like, you just get side by side with someone, and that's a really tricky part of the track, to be going side by side as well. It's very easy to unload the car, and then, you know, there's you're either hitting someone or off the track. So, it's just how it is. But yeah, good race from everybody. Nice to hear from Axton once more on the podium. Hopefully you'll be back here a few more times.
Hey.
Yeah, and congrats to Infamous on the victory there, and Dylan for an excellent drive there. You're my driver of the day, starting from 9th, finishing 2nd. Given the context of a spin, I think you could have won the race as well. So, driver of the day for me is Dylan. Fuzz would disagree. But Fuzz...
Teammate of the day for Coxie.
Yeah, I don't know. Fuzz actually had an excellent drive, though. I think he gained 10 places, and he was, yeah, really excellent today. So, good drive from Fuzz as well. It's too bad he doesn't count. Yeah. All right. I think I'm going to wrap it up. If anybody wants to say anything before we go, feel free.
Just congrats to you guys, then.
Sorry.
Also, yes. Thank you for the comms,
no
said Dylan. So, and thank you, Big. Congrats to both you, Dylan, Pillars. Great race, and you guys killed it.
Yeah,
likewise.
to you boys as well.
Yeah. All right, guys. All right. Thanks for popping in for the interviews, and we'll catch you next week. Have a good night.
Peace.